Holy hell. Hi, everyone, and good morning, and welcome to PAX. Right, it's the best time of the year, 4 times a year, which is great. So I'm here today to, let me get this, talk about my story to being creative director. I'm going to look over the last 6 or so years of where I've been, what I was doing, and try to give you an insight into how I came up with and created both PUBG and the Battle Royale game mode. So about 6 years ago, there we go, I was living in Brazil. I had been there for about 6 years total, and in the final 2 years, I decided I wanted to save to move home to Ireland. I had a daughter back in Ireland, so I wanted to come home and spend more time with her. At the time, I was mainly taking photographs. This is not working. There we go. Mainly taking photographs, doing some DJing, and also doing a lot of design work. So doing flyer design, this kind of stuff for bands and for events. With photography, I was mainly like an event photographer. I like capturing moments in time that people could look back at and kind of go, okay, wow, I remembered that exact moment. And it's the same with gaming. I love the fact that you get these experiences, especially with sort of open world games like DayZ, where you remember specific moments. Battlegrounds is somewhat the same, where you have these kind of water cooler moments that you share with your friends. So when I was doing photography, that's what I tried to capture, was those particular moments in time. One of these, I love this shot. We had a kid's birthday party, and after the kids were finished on the slides, we had to go. I've never seen adults queue up for something so quickly. So as I said, I was doing a lot of rock photography, band photography, and live event photography. I also did occasional weddings, but again, mainly rock photography. So games that kind of inspired me. I was never a massive gamer. Like, as I said, I came to PAX for the first time and I was blown away by the passion that people had for gaming. I was never like that. I played some games. I was, as I said, a photographer. I was a designer, and I played games casually in my free time. So, coming in and meeting everyone here and seeing their true passion for gaming, I really don't consider myself a gamer like most of you guys. But the games that I did play really did heavily affect me. So the first one of these was Delta Force Black Hawk Down. Now, I had played a lot of Wipeout on PlayStation. I played multi-user dungeons, a lot of like the CODs and Assassin's Creeds, but this was the first kind of game that really showed me sort of multiplayer, not only multiplayer, but also modding and user-created game modes. I played the shit out of this game. I really did. I loved the realistic ballistics. I loved the fact there were user-made maps. I loved the fact that it wasn't the company giving you content. It was whatever the players could come up with. And that really excited me and heavily affected me in how it went on. And I love realistic games, right? That's why I moved on to America's Army after Delta Force Black Hawk Down kind of finished and servers weren't around. I had the pleasure of meeting some of the devs from America's Army at GDC a few weeks ago, and that was great, because this game really affected me, because it showed me that these realistic games where your actions have consequences were really exciting. You had to be careful. If you just went run and gun, you'd die. There was this kind of idea that team play and communication was heavily important, and I love this. In my games, or the games I like realism, I like shooting, and I like kind of mil sim, that kind of a thing. So these kind of looking back now and reflecting on kind of why I created a Battle Royale game mode, these kind of games affected me, because I just love that realism, but I also love the fact that your actions have consequences. So a lot of people, it has been said that I created the Battle Royale genre, and a lot of people would disagree, saying, no, there was Minecraft, Hunger Games, and all this kind of stuff happening beforehand. I believe personally that the Battle Royale game mode that I created with the plane and the ever-decreasing circle was kind of my idea. It wasn't really based, even though it was named after a movie, it wasn't really based entirely on the movie. The reason we have a circle in the game is because I couldn't code squares. when I first started out, the DayZ mod, and I fell in love with this. All the other or Assassin's Creed or Battlefield, their multiplayer experiences, you know, there was too much on screen, too much going on. With DayZ, it was here's a world, survive. And how you do that and what you do, that's completely up to you. And that I just fell in love with that idea that there was no story. There was just whatever you wanted to do in the world, and it was exploration. I remember running DayZ and never not loving it. You know, I was getting lost. I came across Green Mountain twice, and but I loved it. You know, but all I was doing was running. But this idea that I didn't have anything to do, that I could do what I want, I really just fell in love with this idea. And then I discovered that you could mod and put up your own servers. So this DayZ Churno Plus was our kind of, well, my first exploration into creating a custom server and creating, you know, my own version. Like 25 new locations, you can kind of see some in the background, to sort of add more PvP to the map, to add more points of interest to the map. I also gave it a bit of lore, as you can kind of read there, and it was kind of to help people's immersion in the game. I was telling my story on my server, and we were really popular. I mean, we had 80 people on the server every night. It was packed. I wouldn't play the game. I would sit there and kick people from low bandwidth because it would disrupt anyone else on the server. So, you know, even then I really just wanted like to give people a good experience. I also was messing with you know, different game modes. This was an arena I built. It was my first experimentation in level design, where I built this kind of mirrored arena where we would put teams of 4 in either side. There were loot spawns, and they basically had to fight it out. And it proved a lot of fun. It wasn't hugely popular, but it was leading me into kind of how to make a mod or trying to come up with my own game mode. I really wanted to sort of achieve that every match was unique. You know, people would come to our DayZ mod server and play for about an hour or so, and it was really centered around PvP. It wasn't survival. We upped the spawn rates of all weapons, so you logged in, you found a gun, you played, and it was a very basic kind of battle royale. There was no end game. It was just a massive death match, really. So DayZ Battle Royale is where I kind of dove fully into modding. The modding community in Arma is amazing. If you haven't checked it out, I really suggest you should. If there's any sort of prospective game designers or people who want to get into making kind of a shooter realistic type world, I would heavily suggest you look into Arma. The resources that are there, the community is amazing. You know, the sites like Armaholic and even the Steam Workshop, just the amount of time that people put into creating new content for the game is truly amazing. You see game modes like Arma 3 Life, which it's still niche, but it's massively popular with the community that love it. And that's the joy of Arma, is that you can create whatever game you wanted. And I wanted to create a Battle Royale game. I had seen an event called the Survivor Games. The Survivor Games was in DayZ. It was created by Brian Hicks and Jordan Taylor, and it was essentially a Hunger Games within the DayZ mod. 15 teams of 2 kind of battled it out, but admins controlled the areas they would move to, and I thought, okay, I think I can do this better. I thought, okay, an ever-decreasing circle that kept within each other I thought was a better idea. And also, having the computer control everything I thought was better than having admins, because especially in events, you don't want your biggest streamers to die early or you lose viewership. So having a computer that decides that I thought was just fairer. I didn't care who you were. And at this time, I had no idea about streaming. I didn't watch Twitch. I didn't see YouTube. I played games occasionally, and that was it. So with Battle Royale, I wanted to sort of try my hand at creating a game mode. I had seen these other sort of mods of DayZ mods come out, and I thought, okay, I can do this. And inspired by the Survivor Games, I sat down to write Battle Royale. I also believed, like with the DayZ mod server, that creating kind of a lore behind why this exists was important. And one of the first things I did, you can see it just in the background, was this kind of letter from some guy to his friend telling them about this island where this kind of match happened in. And that was kind of the first teaser image I released to Reddit, and it was picked up well. And then, but that's all kind of like, I believe putting lore, even in Battlegrounds, you know, there's a lore there because it kind of informs the overall design of the islands and how we approach the game itself. So these were some of the like first like postcard images I created to sort of, oh, and all the like art and marketing material was being created by me at this stage. You can see the very first care package ever in a Battle Royale match up in the top corner. And the original DayZ Battle Royale was set up like the Hunger Games. You can see it down the bottom right, I think, the circle of start positions. And that's why with Battlegrounds in those early tests, we started everyone in a barn because it was harking back to how we did it in the Arma 2 days. So the first map we had, I love this map. It was perfect for, I don't know if anyone here played DayZ Battle Royale, but this map was just wonderful. It was, yeah, it just had a lovely sort of feel for a Battle Royale game. And this was a community-created map, okay? Like, this is what I love about Arma, is that the amount of community content, like most of the maps we use in Arma 3 Battle Royale are still community-made maps. When I first launched DayZ Battle Royale, I had 6 servers. I had no way to lock the server. I had no way to restart the server. That ability wasn't in the Arma code. So I literally had to stay awake for about 36 hours just seeing a server fill, lock, wait, and keep going and restarting servers. I had to shut down servers for like 8 hours at a time when I got some sleep as the servers were going. It was crazy. Now, thinking back about it now, it was so tiny, but at the time, I was seeing in the chat, you can see there, where people were saying, oh, I spent 2 days trying to get into this game mode, you know? And that sort of passion for wanting to play the game really blew me away. But also, there was a lot of competition with DayZ mod servers because at the time I got into it, there was a lot of monetization going on with mods where you would buy in-game items for real-world currency, and a lot of the Arma core modding community kind of frowned on that because modding's meant to be free, and it's something I always maintained with Arma 3 Battle Royale was that it would always be free. We would never add microtransactions or this kind of stuff, that I even didn't ask for donations for servers. But back then, it was the Wild West, and if you had a popular server, you would get DDoS'd all the time. And you know, this was kind of a constant occurrence for us. But luckily, we had some great hosters that kind of bore the burden of this. So this was DayZ Battle Royale. It was, again, starting people in like a Hunger Games type thing. And it ran for about 3-4 months, and then the DayZ standalone came out, and I moved on to Arma 3. But not before we really had some fun adding chainsaws, for example, into the loot tables, which was fun in the start position. People would be looking, running for guns, and then you'd hear a chainsaw and see people scatter. It was great. So we got up to, like, we relaunched the source code for this on Git. You can actually go and find it, DayZ Battle Royale. It's there. If you want to host Arma 2 servers, it's fully possible. I love zombies. You know, it's why I fell in love with H1, and I even managed to get a horde into our game mode at the start, which really wasn't great for FPS. But if you play Arma, you'll get that. But what made me really happy was E3 last year, we revealed this. So, zombies. I love them. Having them now in Battlegrounds, oh, there we go, really excites me. It's carrying over, and I don't know if you've played the zombie mode in Battlegrounds in our custom games, but it's all the zombies are players, there's no AI, and that makes things super interesting. I've seen like videos where you'll have 4 people surviving and there's no sign of any zombies and the circle's quite small, and suddenly 40 zombies stand up out of the grass, and that kind of player coordination is wonderful for zombie games. But you know, this year, like with our custom servers, we really want to improve on that, but I'm just happy we have zombies in the game. So Arma 3 Battle Royale was where the game mode that most of you know today was born. This is when I kind of pared back. I took out the zombies out of the game. I pared it back to make it purely a PvP or player versus player experience. And this is where, you know, we put in the parachutes, the plane flying over. Other than that, the game modes kind of stayed the same. We of course met with loot tables, but I spent about a month, 2 months kind of, no, that's the wrong way, there we go. About 2 months until I finally released on Stratus. Stratus is the smaller of the 2 Arma maps, and we started on that before moving on to Altus. We had many, many bugs in those early days, like these wonderful piles of bodies. At the time, I was working at home in Kildare in my parents' house. This was my studio, our battle station. And I really, you know, I had help sort of putting the code together, but really it was my own kind of struggle. But the one thing like I espouse a lot is that you praise RNGesus, because that really gives your games replayability in like a massive way. It's with our game, the loot system, for example, this is an Arma 3 play zone, and the loot within it over about, I think it's like 20 matches. So you can see that while the red is low and obviously the yellow is, or the red is high and yellow is low, but you can see that even though it's random, it still kind of maintains some kind of limit as to its randomness. In a town, there's always going to be high value, and this is something like we've carried through, and it's what we really believe with Battlegrounds is that, you know, this randomness within limits is a key to really making the game replayable over many, many hours. But it also leads to wonderful bugs like, what the hell is that care package doing there? But I love Arma. I think Arma, the maps in Arma, they're truly beautiful. They really hold up. You can go back and play Arma 2 today on Ultra, and it still kind of holds up. And I think there's some of the more beautiful worlds in gaming, at least in my opinion. But having this ability to mod, really, I went mad, you know, creating Street Fight, which was a smaller battle royale based on the towns of Altus with melee and like small arms only. Even some of the ideas from Arma 3 BR carried over to our Battlegrounds. And the great thing about modding is that you can do so much. So for Christmas, I think it was last year or the year before, we spawned everyone in Santa suits. Which was wonderful because most people would dump them at the start position, but you'd have a few that would try to win in a Santa suit, and some did. Hats off to them. But again, this is all user-generated content. This is not Bohemia giving these to players. This is user content. This is a whole map, Boscada, which is just stunning. I mean, it's made by a user. Like, this is one guy sitting down and making this map. It really is. It's the wealth of content out there. If you're thinking about an idea for a game or just a scenario or a game mode, I would heavily encourage you to download Arma and look into modding, because it's a wonderful platform. We also did War, which was taking advantage of the massive arsenal within Arma. So putting tanks, little birds, rocket launchers, all this kind of stuff, made it into a kind of a deathmatch at the start. Again, it was just kind of opening up what you could do with Arma. Wake Island, some of you may know it from Battlefield, but there's a wonderful recreation in Arma, and we had PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Battle Royale on Wake Island. Around this time also, I was doing a lot of work with charity, working with Twitch and working with Extra Life. We raised, I think, close to about 100 grand over a few events during my Arma 3 days, and that's again a shout out to like the amazing streaming community, because you know they really put their hearts and souls when they're trying to you know raise money for something, and Extra Life is such a great cause. So I was busily working on Arma 3, and I was watching some of the dev blogs on the H1 launch before they launched. And they kept mentioning Battle Royale in their dev blogs or in their get-togethers with their devs. And I was thinking, that's great, guys. How about you reach out to me and talk to me about Battle Royale? And they did. And I have 3 people to thank. One is Lyric, one is Adam Clegg, and one is Jimmy Wisenhunt. Lyric, Adam Clegg, Jimmy Wisenhunt, and John Smedley. So Adam was a big fan of Lyric, and Lyric used to play the Arma 3 game mode a lot. He saw this and went to John Smedley, president of SEO at the time, and said, listen, I think this would be a great add to our game H1. John agreed, reached out to me via DM and said, we should talk. I didn't sleep that night. Next day, I got on a call with him, and the following day, or 2 days later, I was on a flight to San Diego. We discussed about adding it to H1. I thought this was a great idea. Modding and playing a mod is still quite niche just because it's tough sometimes to install modding. It's what turned me off modding many years ago because I just saw it as a complication I didn't want to deal with. With H1, I saw the ability to just literally put a play button in a game and play the Battle Royale game mode. So I saw this as a massive opportunity. This is the first time actually I went to PAX. So I was in San Diego. It was ramping up to launch of H1, and the first PAX South was happening, and we decided we'd go. And this was my first kind of experience into seeing a games convention. I had gone to games conventions like when I was 19, 20, but these were board game conventions. It was around the time Magic was starting, and we hated them for taking all our tables. But I really PAX really opened my mind to just this passion for gaming, that it didn't matter what color, race, creed, whatever you were, if you loved gaming, you could come here and share games with friends. As I said, I wasn't big into watching Twitter or Twitch, YouTube, so I had no idea of the culture that surrounded gaming, and I was kind of blown away by just everyone and their kid was playing games. Getting to meet some amazing cosplayers, streamers. That kind of picture sums up most of my experiences with streamers. But also getting to see, roundtables with, devs and players sitting down and just talking about what they wanted from games and what they wanted to see in a game and how they thought a game could be improved. H1 did amazing things for Battle Royale with their first invitational at TwitchCon. It really helped cement this new Battle Royale genre, really, in my mind. But it was never the game I wanted to make. I liked my realism. I liked Arma. I liked that sort of, in-depth kind of Battle Royale. H1 had taken it more in a simplistic view of it, and it was great. They did amazing things. So at that time, I kind of moved back to Arma 3. Again, this is why I love modding. So Iron Front, some of you may know it, was a great World War II game. The Iron Front team basically gave permission to modders within Arma to take their textures, to take their assets, and port them to Arma, so we could have Iron Front in Arma. And that's what I love. Here you have a game developer giving community content creators assets and the ability to use them within their own mods on a different game completely. I love this. It's why I love modding. It's why I espouse it quite heavily. So this, again, I was doing most of the art, most of the design for this, and I made this short video to kind of announce the Iron Front mod. So yeah, I was back happily modding back in Arma, and I got a mail out of the blue from Chang-An Kim in Korea, executive producer at Bluehole. And he said, listen, I love what you've done with Battle Royale. He himself wanted to make a Battle Royale game for about 10 years. But when he saw what I'd done with H1 and with Arma, he thought, OK, we should talk. So he flew me over to a slightly freezing Korea where I met himself and Sammy. And we sat down and we talked about what we wanted for a Battle Royale game. And both of us had the same ideas. You know, we wanted this kind of open platform. We wanted this like community development. We wanted the same things from the game, that the game should be hard, that it should challenge players. So about a week later, I think, or 2 weeks later, I moved to Korea full time, and I've been there for the last 2 years. It was amazing working with this team. This is the first real time I got to work with a dev team. With H1, you know, they did most of the development, and I was only there for a short amount of time. Being creative director with a team now was a big challenge for me. You know, I was used to implementing pretty much everything in modding and doing all the stuff myself, and then coming into a director position where you have to trust your team to do things. That was really hard for me. I spent a lot of time micromanaging things, and that, you know, was not taken too well. But we found a really nice balance now, and now, like, I trust the team completely. You know, I'm able to travel a lot, and I know they want the best for the game. But in those early days, you know, it was really cool because I'd never been involved in making a game from scratch essentially before. So, you know, sitting down and seeing our concept artists go through and come up with character concepts, and you know, the first time we had a playable build internally, it was the same with the H1 dev team. Like, you had some veteran devs that maybe in the industry 15 years that were like whooping and shouting and screaming at each other when playing a first round of Battle Royale, which excited me. I like seeing that sort of reaction from people. There's some more concept art. This is Taeyeon King. He's now our lead character artist. He's an amazingly talented guy. And again, during those early days, we worked hard. And I mean, people were putting in 12-hour days easily, and not because anyone was forcing to do it. It was, you know, from those early playtests, they sort of saw the chance we had with this game, and they wanted to put in as many hours as they could to make sure what they were doing was the best possible thing. This was a very early shot of PLAYERUNKNOWN. I thought it was cool that I get a character in a game. And this was, I think, one of the first ever renders of, and the art director at the time wanted to do many more versions. And I was like, no, I like this. This is cool. So we went with it. And also, this is bloody easy to cosplay, right? So we had many meetings. Like, every morning we would sit down and discuss about what we've completed that day, that week. We had Mr. Kim's agile system. It really was. We broke, you know, every sprint into like a 2-month sprint where we would, you know, do about 6 weeks of adding content and then 2 weeks of bug fixing. And it worked into a really nice rhythm of every morning go through, and then every month we would sit down and discuss what we've kind of learnt from that month and pass on either new tech tips or, you know, just pass on general knowledge to the whole team. And that was really valuable because it gave me a lot of insights into how games were made, and they're not easy to be made. You know, at the time, our team was tiny. We had about 30 people total. It was really small. We worked with some external artists as well. But, you know, it was exciting back then because every time we did something new, there would be sort of everyone gathering around someone's desk to check out the newest and coolest thing. It was a nice time. Again, this is my lovely boss. I mean, you know, we wouldn't have Battlegrounds without him. You know, he is an amazing leader. I mean, I feel, you know, like the luckiest man in gaming that he gave me a team to work with, you know, and the team that he's built, like, he's had such a hard year because no one expected the growth that we've seen, you know, and even our server architecture was designed to handle 1 million CCU because we thought that's nearly double Dota. We're not going to hit that. No way. We hit 2 million in 2 months or in 6 months. So we were not prepared for this, and he's done an amazing job building this team. We're opening offices or we have opened offices in Santa Monica, in Amsterdam. We have PUBG Tokyo. We have offices in China. We have offices all over the world. And, you know, it's mainly through this guy's leadership. And I don't know how he does it. You know, he's in meetings from, you know, 9 in the morning till 12 at night and talking to people all over the world and traveling. And boy, he doesn't like to travel. He gets hit with jet lag so hard. But, you know, he's done an amazing team. Like, I led the vision for the game, but he led the vision for the team and how to bring the game to everyone. And I'm very proud to work with him. As I said, we had meetings like every single morning, going through what we'd solved. And those kind of internal playtests, those first playtests, were such fun because it was getting to see a new game being born. And I even got a win with a frying pan. He did run outside the zone. I didn't kill him with the frying pan, but we don't mention that because. But again, we would, and this has been brought up a lot that we used a lot of store-bought assets from the marketplace and stuff like this. And you kind of have to when you want to make a game in a year. The amount of time it takes, like to make a vehicle, it might take 2 months to make a really well-detailed vehicle and get it in game. But anything we got, we really looked at to try to improve. This is work on the hands that they were the store-bought hands we got, and we went in and redetailed them. Nowadays, we're doing pretty much everything internally, or we have some outsourced artists, but most of the stuff we do now is internal. And our team, again, this was ramping up to early access. Now, I personally didn't want to do early access because I felt with early access comes this list of questions that like, well, why are you doing early access? Is your game going to fail? Yada, yada, yada. And I didn't want to do it, but Chang'an said, listen, it's a really good way to work with the community. And that part of early access, I think, is really true. It's building a multiplayer game and a purely multiplayer game, being able to build it with a community is super important. So that's why we ran alpha and beta tests, closed alpha and closed beta tests for about 6 months. Like with our first pre-alpha, we had about 600 testers, and it was nuts. It was a prototype of the game. Like, I mean, it was so rough. Like, most companies wouldn't let you see games at this stage. But we felt, okay, let's get it into the hands of people. Let's see what they think. And we were expanding the team slowly, and we were crushing bug after bug after bug, and also doing a lot of like open development. So we would record these kind of short videos explaining what we were doing as a dev team, and it's something we've kind of fell back on a little over the last 6 months. But we aim to change that this year. Really. This idea of open development is very important to me because I think talking with your community and sort of empowering your community to speak on your behalf is super important to getting people on your side. Those early days, we had really strong community ambassadors, and we want to get those kind of people back, that we talk to them and we talk to that core group that actually pay attention to your social and Reddit. Getting those people on your side and really opening up about what you're doing internally and showing them how games are made is something we really want to get back to doing this year. But as I said, we were really ramping up to early access launch. And, it was these cool things like, new water shader to give our marshy area a good look. Team kept expanding. We got to, we were about 40 people at this stage, and we were really starting to take things seriously. We had seen some of the first playtests and seen the reaction of people. So this really kind of inspired us, right, listen, let's put a lot of time into this. Our action and gunplay lead, Pavel, seen here on the right, and this is one of our lead game designers, Mash, and Marek, our content programmer. We decided, okay, listen, we would need to go to mocap all the animations for weapons and stuff like this. So this was us on a roof deciding what kind of stance we would want our character to take. We decided to go for a professional, like sports shooter type stance as the player thing, because we thought, okay, if you're in a battle royale, you're not going to be relaxed. You're going to be tense and nervous all the time. So you want that kind of action stance. Getting to go and see how mocap was done was a real eye-opener for me and also for the team, because mocap isn't huge in Korea. So getting to bring the team to Prague, to actually Bohemia's mocap studio, which I thought was a wonderful closing of a circle. Bohemia was where I started, and getting to help make our game with their mocap studio was great. And getting the team, getting them to see how it was done and learning from that was. I love doing that with our team. Like for Gamescom last year, we brought the whole team to Gamescom because most of them not only had never been outside Korea, but had never been to a massive gaming convention. So, we brought them all to GDC as well this year, just because, we really want to, let them grow with the company. And doing mocap is not easy. Pavel was out of breath a lot because really you have to literally get down and show the mocap actors what you want to do. I will say the final time we went to Prague, we took members of the Project W team from Bluehole with us, and getting mocap actors to pick flowers and do all the things that you would expect in an MMO was certainly funny to watch. So then we launched into early access. I was really nervous about this, but my nerves were kind of abated a little when I was watching, I think it was Break on the last weekend of our closed beta, and he was having fun. Listen, there were bugs in the game. I think there will always be some bugs in the game, but he was just having fun. He was playing around. There were no real server crashes. There were no real kind of game-breaking bugs. There were funny bugs, but that was about it. And this was a year ago now. And it's been one hell of a year. We've sold over 40 million copies now worldwide. We're #1 game played on Steam, and we're the only game to break 3 million CCU. I never expected this. I want to thank everyone here that's played PUBG and supported Battle Royale game modes in whatever genre, because, I wouldn't be here without you guys. I've had the opportunity to do some really, truly amazing things. I was on the Galen Center presenting for Xbox, which was nervous as all hell. But again, it's been crazy for me. Our team has grown immensely over the last 6 months. As I said, we've 3 offices, or big offices now, in Santa Monica, Amsterdam, and Seoul. And I'm an avid photographer. It's where I started. So I like popping around I have a little Segway, those mini things, me and my camera floating around the office taking pictures. I like this kind of candid photography. It's what I love. But the team, it's just wonderful to see that even though we've grown to nearly 300 people worldwide, they all have this passion for just doing the best job they can. That they stay late even though there's no need to. They all we have these internal teams for figuring out new game modes, new ideas, new innovations, and I'm just constantly blown away by their passion. It really humbles me. We have amazing terrain artists. This is Sergi and Tesok, our world design lead and our terrain artist. And the new 8x8 map we have coming out later this year is basically driven by Sergi, and he has such a passion for creating these wonderful, wonderful, realistic terrains. And I think with the new 8x8 you'll see later this year, you'll really see our step up in improvement, and that's what we always wanted to do with Battlegrounds, is just continually improve. We have wonderful character artists. This is the team that brought you Savage. They led the design. They're from Madison. They came over and spent about 2 months with us in Korea, but working with the art team there. But they kind of drove the Savage development, and I'm really happy with what they've done with Savage. Again, it's not a new spin on Battle Royale, but it's slightly more intense, and it really delivers that faster action that a lot of people wanted. We've also continued doing the charity element. We got to donate 100,000 to Gamers Outreach. We're doing another event over the next month where we're committed to matching all donations up to 350,000. So having and working for a company that are willing to do this, it really, I feel very honored, because it's something I wanted to do from the early days of Battle Royale. There's a lot of people that are less fortunate than all of us sitting here, and being able to give back to them, I think, is something that's very important, especially when you see some level of success. I also signed a pan for Neymar, which just and tomorrow I get to sign stuff and play games with deadmau5 here at the Xbox stage. And I was a DJ for so many years, and I remember hearing Joel's first tracks and being wowed by his musical prowess. So now getting to come and sign and play with him it still hasn't quite sunk in. I also get to play gangster every now and again. This was recording for some, I think it was Africa TV in Korea. These are our Korean offices. We have 2 floors of this wonderful building, and they've done so much to make it really feel like, you know, our space. Like this is Battle Royale is written on massive pieces of metal. It's a wonderful space for, and we even have beds there should you want a little sleep. But what really excites me, and it's why I started doing, excuse me, 1 second. What really excited me and why I started doing this was because I saw Battle Royale as an esports. Now, we are not esports ready, no matter what everyone else might think. But you know, I saw the possibility of creating spectacle. And when I was in Kiev for Star Ladder, I started to see the start of this, you know. Seeing these productions and the quality of the productions of some of the events that we're seeing now, it really makes me happy. You know, we're not there yet. The game isn't there yet. The production quality, you know, while it's getting there, we're still learning. Like no one's done a Battle Royale esport yet. We're trying, and we're gathering a lot of data from all these events. So, you know, this year we really want to kind of push into investing more heavily so we do eventually get esports ready. We've thrown some pretty amazing parties over the past number of PAXs. If any of you've been there, they're wonderful. They're not heavy banging parties. They're places for me and the dev team and streamers to come and talk about the game. And as I mentioned before, we just released Savage. Again, this makes me so happy, you know, like seeing this kind of new content. And this is not saying that we're not fixing bugs, okay? Because people see this, like we release a new crate with skins, or we release a new map, and it's like, oh, you're just releasing new content, not fixing bugs. And that's not the way development works, you know? If any of you here are game devs, you should know this, that like there is an engineering team, there's an art team, there's a content team. They all work somewhat independently and do their own thing. So, you know, this year we want to sort of vocalize more about the bugs we're fixing, but we do want to kind of continually expand upon what we have. We have our new event mode. We have a melee and shotgun battle coming up this weekend. You know, and that event mode server, I can't wait for you to see some of the events we have planned. You know, the team internally, we have kind of these virtual teams with members from all different teams internally that come together and try to come up with new game modes or new ways to innovate the game. And, you know, some of the stuff they've suggested has been kind of cool. I can't wait to share. But again, you know, this is, while as beautiful as this is, it's not even close to being done. You know, that this is the very first iteration of this map. The trees will most likely be replaced. So I love seeing this and getting it into your, and this is why we released this so early, because we want to get it into players' hands quickly so you guys can give us feedback. With Miramar, we found that we released it a little bit too complete, and there were problems in it that we found hard to fix because it was a little bit too complete. And now with Savage, we want to kind of reverse that idea that, you know, we get it into your hands super early without even textures in some areas, but you get guys to get to inform us as to what you like and what you want to do with a game. But, you know, this is why I love our game. You know, it's like you really get to see some honestly crazy, and it's the one thing I love meeting fans. I love meeting people at events like this because I get to hear all these stories. You know, everyone that meets me has their story about something crazy that happened to them in PUBG. And I think that's a wonderful thing that we've created in that. So this year, we released our roadmap. It's not everything we're doing, but like we really want to continue that idea of continually upgrade what we have, continually kind of improve the game that we have, you know? We want to add more elements, new content to kind of enhance that pulp realism. I've always thought the game should be like you're playing a movie, right? And that's what we want to sort of continue this year, that everything's a little bit bigger, explosions are a little bit louder. You know, we want to become a platform for game modes. We have our custom game servers, and they're providing huge entertainment with, for example, our zombie mode or other game modes that we want to add. And we want to expand that out this year. We want to get it into the hands of everyone else, because while I can't promise there will be full modding, because we want to set this up as an esport, there's security concerns about sharing your server files. So we really want to be careful. But with our custom games, we want to give as much control as we possibly can to you as a creator, and then let you really give you a platform to create new game modes, and not even like, shooter games, whatever game you want within our game. New content, as I've mentioned before, and as I said, investing in esports. That's it for me. I hope I've said something you enjoyed. Thank you all so very much for coming, and welcome to PAX.